Hey everybody, here we go with another Top 5 Tuesday. We're going to recap last night's Falcons-Rams game. Kind of interesting. Game. It didn't turn out the way I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought it would, considering where the Rams are and where the Falcons are. But it was rather entertaining and rather interesting. We'll recap that game. Plus, of course, it's Top 5 Tuesday. I will give you my top 5 NFL teams after week 17. And then we all know Black Monday is coming. If you don't know what we're talking about, I'll get into that. Plus, I will preview the final 2 quarterfinal games in the college football playoff. The Rose Bowl, which pits number 1 Indiana against Alabama, and the Sugar Bowl, which pits Ole Miss at Georgia. We're going to get into all that today, right here in the Ozone. Big O with the Big Mouth coming at you on a Tuesday, December 30th. One more day. Counting the day, 2 more days left in 2025. The year has gone so fast. It went so fast. If you blinked, it was gone. But that's the way it is. And I'm glad it is. I'm looking forward to 2026, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are too. Because 2026 always starts the year off with college football championship and then the NFL championship. The Super Bowl will be coming right around the corner. So sports wise, the start of the year is always great. At least to me it is. Because there's always going to be some good football to watch coming down the pipe with the end of the college football and pro football seasons. So let's get into it. Last night, Rams, Falcons in Atlanta, in the dirty South. This game did not turn out the way I thought it would. I didn't do a pick 'em Friday because of the holiday, but I would have took the Rams in this one because I just don't believe in the Falcons. Like I said, I don't trust them. I do not trust the Falcons. I'm thinking the Rams with their offensive attack, even without Devontae Adams, I'm thinking the Rams will run all over or throw all over the Falcons defense. Well, in the second half they did, but in the first half, it was not good for the Rams. Before they looked up, they were down 14-0. Matthew Stafford had thrown a pick six. He had thrown 2 interceptions, and one of them were a pick six. And then you looked up at the half, Atlanta was up 21-0 on the Los Angeles Rams. You was like, whoa, what's wrong with the Rams? What's going on? Then in the second half, the Rams came back to reality. The game came back to what I thought it would be. The Rams controlling the tempo. They mounted a comeback. It blocked the field goal, which was ran back for a touchdown. And then Pakua and the Rams tied the game at 24. And I'm thinking, okay, this is what I'm thinking. This is what the Falcons do. This is what the Atlanta Falcons are known to do. Choke. Blow big leads. This is what they did. And they did that last night. They blew a 21-0 lead. Blew it. And I'm thinking, that's nothing new. This is the Falcons. They've choked so many games away in the last 4 quarters, even in the last 2 minutes of the 4th quarter. I figured they'd do the same thing here. I figured, and you know what? They almost did. Yes, they kicked the go-ahead field goal with 25 seconds left. And if it wasn't for a controversial no call on a pass on a long pass that a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you people who've seen that game thought that should have been pass interference. And then the Pakua catch that was ruled incomplete when it looked like from a distance, at least from the lot of the camera angles, it looked like he caught that ball, and it would have been a beautiful one-handed catch. A beautiful leaning one-handed catch, leaning out of bounds and dragging both feet in bounds. It would have been beautiful. But the refs ruled that he lost the ball. He lost security of the ball as he was falling down out of bounds. So they ruled it no catch. And then on the very last play, they ruled that catch was completed, or it was no catch or incomplete, but they ruled that the clock had just run out, because it probably would have gave them one second, one more chance for Hail Mary. So the really crazy ending has Atlanta winning that game 27-24. Now, the question in this game, now, there are two things that stand out in this game. First, ladies and gentlemen, Bijan Robinson, number 7 for the Atlanta Falcons, should be mentioned for Offensive Player of the Year. He is the do everything back for the Atlanta Falcons. He is the all-purpose back for the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons wouldn't have won as many games as they had without Bijan Robinson. Trust me. If you haven't seen that young man play, Google him. Look him up on YouTube. That young man is a beast. Bijan Robinson. He should be mentioned, at least mentioned, be in the conversation for NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He is the offense for the Atlanta Falcons right now. He is. Without him, they have no offense. I truly believe that. If Bijan Robinson doesn't play, Falcons have no chance. Stats don't lie, and the stats back it up. Last night, 195 yards rushing on 22 totes, and a beautiful 93-yard touchdown run. Beautiful 93-yard touchdown run. Oh, let's add 34 yards on 5 catches, and another touchdown. So all told, he had just about 230 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns. He is the Atlanta Falcons offense. What do you hear about Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney? It is Bijan Robinson. He is the offense for the Atlanta Falcons. Without him, they wouldn't be 7-9. They probably won't have won, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 games. Bijan is directly responsible for Atlanta winning at least 3 games. 3 of the 7 wins. He's directly responsible for it. Even with the Falcons' penchant for blowing leads, Bijan is the straw that stirs the drink for the Atlanta Falcons offense. There's no question. And he should be mentioned in the conversation for all NFL Offensive Player of the Year. He may not get it. Basically, because the Falcons are not in the playoffs. They were eliminated. They won't have a winning record, but he should be mentioned. Because he's definitely the Falcons MVP. And he should be mentioned for Offensive Player of the Year. He is everything to the Atlanta Falcons on offense. That's the one side. On the Rams side, the question for the Rams right now could be anywhere from, playoff-wise, the loss really doesn't hurt because they're in the playoffs. Seeding-wise, they could be anywhere from, they could be 5th to 7th. It all depends. It's still got to shake all that out next weekend. They could be fifth. They could be all the way down to seventh. It all depends on how that shakes out. But Matthew Stafford. Now, the odds makers had him in the league as the favorite to be the NFL MVP before last night's game. Did last night's performance take that away? I think it did. 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. And that might have done it for him. That might have took away the MVP from Stafford and gave it to Drake May. Now both these teams got one more weekend, one more game in the regular season to make their case. And both teams will be playing divisional opponents. The Rams will be playing the Arizona Cardinals, and the Patriots will be at home playing the Miami Dolphins. So both these quarterbacks got easy, let's say easy. I wouldn't say very easy, but they got teams that they should beat in front of them for the last game of the season. So they both have a chance to make their case as to why they should be MVP. Right now, the odds, because of last night's performance by Matthew Stafford, the odds makers have flipped it. It was Matthew Stafford as the favorite. Now it has flipped to Drake May from the Patriots. So, like I said, each of these quarterbacks have one more game to prove that. The thing is, with the Rams, do you play Matthew Stafford that last game? I mean, do you want to risk your number one QB getting hurt in a game that may not mean much of nothing? It may not mean much of anything. Then again, it may be meaning for seeding purposes. And what about New England? I know they're going to play Drake May because the Patriots are still in the running for home field advantage. Number one seed in the AFC and having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So Drake May has every reason to play. They have something to play for. Well, what about the Rams? Do they have anything to play for? I don't know. Right now, with the loss last night, I don't know. I really don't know. They can't win the division, so they're not going to get the number one seed. The highest they could go, seeding-wise, is maybe 5th. It all depends on who wins, how the Seattle and 49ers game shakes out, because if it's Seattle, because of tiebreakers and whatnot. So do they really want to play Matthew Stafford the last game of the season? I don't know. But he didn't help his case one bit last night for MVP. 3 interceptions, even against the Falcons. I know that he led a furious comeback, and they almost pulled this game out. But 3 interceptions, including one that was returned for a touchdown, is not going to help your case. So, Falcons get the home win last night, 27-24. Again, remember the name, Bijan Robinson. That young man should be at least considered for Offensive Player of the Year. I'm just saying. Big O with the big mouth, Total Sports Ozone. Let's move on. Now, we all know, if you're an NFL enthusiast like I am, you know that the day after the regular season ends, there will be no Monday Night Football. So the regular season ends this weekend. Be some couple of games on Saturday, and then everybody else ends the regular season on Sunday. So the following Monday is always Black Monday in the NFL, where coaches of teams that have had lousy seasons are on the hot seat of getting fired or quitting. So that's coming up next Monday in 6 days, Black Monday. And we know we already know that two teams are already going to be looking for new head coaches: the New York Giants and the Tennessee Titans. We already know that because those two teams fired their coaches during the season. So take those two teams out of the equation. What I want to know, and my question to all of you out there, is what would you put as the over-under of head coaches that will be fired and or quit on Black Monday? In other words, how many coaches do you think will be either fired and or quit come Black Monday? We know that there's always going to be some coaches that's going to get the boot. It's like that every year in the NFL. You have a lousy season, especially with a team that's had somewhat of high expectations and they don't live up to it. Coaches the first ones got to go. You know, you can't get rid of the players. At least not in the conventional way. But it's always the coach. You have a lousy season, coach is the one that usually gets the axe. And according to the record, there's a few teams that the head coaches got to be on the hot seat. But what's the over-under? I'm putting it this year. Forget the Titans, forget the Giants. We're not even going to worry about them two. I'm putting the over-under this year at 4. I believe at least 4 coaches are going to either get fired or quit. Or, you know, have a parting of ways, as you would say, with their team. I'm saying 4. On Black Monday. Either on Black Monday or the next day. Or within that week. Within that week where the off season starts for these teams. I'm looking. I set the over under at 4. I think 4 teams are going to be looking for new head coaches come either Black Monday or within that week of Black Monday. One of them is definitely going to be the Cleveland Browns. Yes, I said it. The Cleveland Browns will be looking for a new head coach again. And this will be their, if I'm not mistaken, their 13th head coach since they were rebirthed. 13th, 12th, or 13th. I believe it would be the 13th or 14th new head coach since they were reborn in 1999. But Kevin Stefanski has one foot out the door. And the other foot's probably on or you could say one foot in the coffin and the other foot on the banana peel, just waiting for it to slip. He's out. That's 1. 2, I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. I believe their head coach will be fired. The Cardinals had high expectations for at least the last 2 years, and they have nowhere near lived up to it. They have no lived up to it. The offense has been in flux. They don't know about Kyler Murray. They don't know if Kyler Murray is the answer. They have lost 8 in a row. They have lost 8 games in a row. So I believe Kyler Murray may not be the answer. I don't think he's longing for being an Arizona Cardinal. I know he signed a big contract extension, but I don't know. I don't think he's the answer for the Cardinals. He has his moments, but it seems like his moments are few and far between. And with a current 3-13 record with an 8-game losing streak, I don't see that head coach surviving Black Monday. That's 2. 3, I'm gonna have to go with the Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna say the Miami Dolphins. The Tua Tagovailoa experiment failed. It must have failed. He's on the bench, and I know McDaniel. He's a brilliant coach, but he's supposed to be a quarterback guru. He doesn't look like that's working. So I would not be surprised if the Miami Dolphins part ways. I know they're 7-9, And I know they won a few games, but I wouldn't be surprised if they part ways with him. I wouldn't be surprised. The New York Jets, 3-13 is 3-13. I know they've had problems at quarterback. Justin Fields is not the answer. Tyrod Taylor, not the answer. They need a quarterback. I know this. I know the Jets play hard, but I would not be surprised if the Jets part ways with their head coach. I wouldn't be surprised with that. That's four right there. There could be some surprises. The Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor. Let's face it. Since the Bengals went to the Super Bowl in Joe Burrow's second year, what have they done? I know they went to the playoffs. The following year, but what after that? What? And you can say, Joe Burrow's been hurt, so Joe Burrow got hurt. Yeah, but you got Joe Flacco. You still couldn't win. You got Joe Flacco. Flacco came in. He's wheeling and dealing. You still couldn't win. Too many blown games. The game you blew against Buffalo, not a good look. The games you blew at home, not a good look. I don't know. I wouldn't be, these are another one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets canned. Zach Taylor. Now, I know a lot of y'all are thinking because the Raiders are so awful that Pete Carroll, this is his first year. He didn't have a quarterback. I don't want to hear about Jacoby Brissett or the other quarterback they had. They're garbage. He needs a quarterback. Let's see what Pete Carroll does because they're going to be picking top 2, 3. No, he's going to draft a QB. You know that. So Pete Carroll ain't going nowhere. I know the Raiders are horrible. Probably the worst team in the league. But he ain't going nowhere. Pete Carroll is not going anywhere. You got to give him some tools. And Raiders just, let's say the cupboard is bare. The cupboard was bare when Pete Carroll took the job. So this is like at least a 3-4 year rebuild for the Las Vegas Raiders. So Pete Carroll's safe. He ain't going nowhere. Neither is Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. He ain't going nowhere. Yes, they had a bad year, off year from what they did last year. And, the expectations, Detroit was one of the sheet favorites to go to the Super Bowl or at least go to the NFC Championship game. And that has not come to fruition. I know. They need help on defense. That's the problem with the Detroit Lions. They need the help on defense. Some players got hurt. I think with a couple of additions in free agency on defense, particularly a linebacker and maybe a cornerback, they'll be all right. They're gonna be right back in the mix. So Dan Campbell ain't going nowhere. But those 4 teams, the Browns, Cardinals, Miami Dolphins, New York Jets. 3 of those teams are going to be looking for new head coaches. We already know 2 on the Titans, the Giants. They're going to be looking for new head coaches. We know. But I believe those 4 teams, their coaches are on the hot seat. And maybe the Miami Dolphins, maybe Daniel may have saved his job with this little late season surge, as you will, that the Dolphins have had. But I don't know. What do you do about Tua? If Tua and the coach ain't getting along, who you gonna get rid of? Who can you get rid of? Tua or the coach? Usually the coach is gone. We'll find out. So that might be 50-50. But the other 3, they're gone. Browns, Jets, Cardinals, they're gonna be looking for new head coaches come Monday. I believe they will. Those coaches will either get fired or they will be, have a mutual parting of ways, if you will, with their respective teams. I got it at 4. So 4 with the 2 with the Giants and Titans. You're looking at 6 new head coaching vacancies. And we're going to get into, in later shows, we're going to get into who I think should fill those vacancies later. But I believe all told, 6 teams, 6 teams will be looking for new head coaches come Black Monday. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Drop me a line, drop me a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll read all comments. I don't play favorites. I'll read them all, whether I agree with you or not. That's what we're here for. We ain't gonna always see eye to eye. Let me know what you think. Drop me a line. Big O with the big mouth. Total Sports Ozone. Now, let's get into Top 5 Tuesday, where I show you my top 5 teams from the NFL after week 17. And here we go. My top 5. Now, I had if you saw last week, I had the Rams right there firmly at number 2. But Matthew Stafford and Rams were bad. I wouldn't say this is a bad roll loss, but this is a loss against a team you should win. You should beat. I'm sorry. You should beat the Falcons, whether you're playing at home on the road. So I had to drop them out of my top 5. And I moved a new team into my top 5. I hadn't had them in there all year, and that would be the San Francisco 49ers. After the game they played against the Bears Sunday night, I had to move. This team offensively is humming. Brock Purdy, I call Christian McCaffrey the a Swiss Army knife. He can do it all. He can run the ball. He can catch it. I mean, I don't know why they don't have him punting and or in the stands selling popcorn at halftime. He's a do it all. When Christian McCaffrey is healthy, he's about the best there is at that position. When he is healthy, that's the only concern I've always had with Christian McCaffrey is his health. But when he's healthy, he is damn good. And when Tim and Purdy dealing with and Kittles, this team dangerous on offense. And if they win this weekend against another team that I have in my top 5, they will have home field advantage, not just throughout the NFC playoffs. We're talking about as long as they keep winning. In other words, all the way to the Super Bowl. If they win this weekend, they ain't got to leave no more this season. They ain't got to go nowhere if they win this game this weekend. You believe that? If they win this game this weekend, they ain't got to go nowhere. Everybody got to come to Santa Clara, including the Super Bowl. That's crazy. But that's where the 49ers are at. And considering they had Brock Purdy was out for a good chunk of the season, and they just kept rolling. That's coaching. That's a tribute to the coaching and the management. This team has depth. Mac Jones stepped in for Brock Purdy. They didn't miss a beat. Now, I'm pretty sure Mac Jones, he probably played his way to a starting job on another team somewhere. Maybe. But if I was the 49ers, I'd do whatever I could to keep him, to convince him to stay here in San Fran. Because he's an excellent backup. Excellent. So they got a starting QB, Brock Purdy, backup QB, Christian McCaffrey, Kerry Kittle. My only concern is the defense. Because they can't get after the QB very well. They don't have much of a pass rush. So that's the only concern you would have if you're a 49ers fan is what they're going to do about a pass rush. But with that offense, all the defense needs to do is hold it down. They don't need to be the most elite defense of all time. Now with that offense, just get the ball back to your offense as much as you can. That's all you have to do. And the offense will take care of the rest. As long as they stay healthy. And it was an amazing game they played last night, the Sunday night against the Bears. It was back and forth, and you had to love it. And with the 49ers pulling it out at the very last second, I had to put the 49ers in my top 5. All right? That means some teams moved up in my top 5. And one of them that moved up that I had number 5 is, like I said, probably the quietest 12-4 team you'll ever know, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody talks about them. Look at the record, 12-4. Nobody talks about them. They're not in the national media. ESPN, Fox, maybe they get a little mention on CBS, maybe. But ESPN, Yahoo Sports, none of these guys talk about the Jaguars. Yet, here they are. One game away, one win away from winning the AFC South and having a home playoff game. One game away. They win their next game. I believe they play the Colts. No, they don't play the Colts. I believe they play the Titans. They win that game, boom. AFC South champions. Did anybody see that coming this year? I didn't. I definitely didn't. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were thinking either Houston, probably were thinking Houston, that will win the AFC South. Well, here's Jacksonville, quiet as a mouse. Yep. Don't hear nothing from them. But Trevor Lawrence, like I said, he is the best game manager QB of this year. He's not asked to do too much, but if he takes what the defense gives him, and if he gives him the run, he'll run. If you give him the long pass, he'll throw it deep. He don't do more or less than what he can do based on what the defense gives, and it's been working. So, quiet as a mouse, Jaguars. I got them at number 4 in my top 5 this week. Number 3, I got holding at 3 would be the Denver Broncos. Broncos just keep doing what they're doing. Broncos keep doing what they're doing. I forgot to update the record. They're 13-3. One more win and then get home field advantage throughout the AFC playoffs. They just keep winning. It may not be pretty. It may not be. I still think they could use some help on offense. I still think they could use another wide receiver. I'm still not sold on Bo Nix. But with their defensive front, they'll always be in every game they play, including the playoffs. With that defense that can get after the, I believe they lead the league in sacks. What is it, 58, 59? 59 sacks or something to that effect. They lead the league in sacks. So if you can get after the QB, hey, you're always going to have a chance. You're always going to have a chance if you can get after the QB, especially in the playoffs. Especially in the playoffs. And look at the quarterbacks. He's Josh Allen. They could be seeing Josh Allen. They could be seeing Drake May. Yeah, depending on the outcome of the Steelers-Ravens game, you could be seeing Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson if Lamar Jackson is healthy enough. You know, you're not going to be seeing the Trump QBs. You're going to see top quality quarterbacks. And for a team that can get after the quarterback like Denver can, they're going to always keep themselves in the mix, whether their offense is highly productive or not. So I kept Denver Broncos at number 3. Number 2, I moved the New England Patriots up to my number 2 spot. Again, they're another team that is fighting for home field advantage in the AFC. Now, do you really want to go to Foxborough in January during playoff time? I don't know. They could be having, the Patriots could have this year's league MVP in Drake May. What he do? 5 touchdowns against the New York Jets? Yes, I know. Yes, I know. The Patriots have had an easy schedule. Well, they were in last place or third place last year. I think third or last place last year. They're going to get that easy schedule. But when you're this good, you're supposed to beat those teams. When you're 13-3, that means you've been taking care of business. You've been beating the teams you're supposed to beat. Those teams lousy. I don't think the Patriots need to defend that. They're the teams that are on their schedule, and they're beating them. And they're beating them pretty bad. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's what they took advantage of it. Drake May looks like he's going to be MVP. I believe Henderson should be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Trayvon Henderson. I think he should be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think they were smart as all get out signing Stephon Diggs. They made the move, and Mike Rabel is definitely Coach of the Year. If he don't win Coach of the Year, what does he have to do? I mean, that's the record, 13-3. Going back to the playoffs for the first time since Tom Brady left. That's all you need to say. That's all you need to know. Going back to the playoffs for the first time since Tom Brady split. MVP, Drake May. Coach of the Year, Mike Rabel. That's why I got him at number 2. And my number 1 team did not move from last week. It is still the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that team is the best team in football right now. Defense carries. If defense travels. If you have a good defense, and the Seahawks have a good defense, it travels. And they did what they needed to do defensively on the road against a team that was desperate for a win so they could sew up the NFC South in the Carolina Panthers in the rain and terrible conditions. They did what they needed to do. They did what they needed to do on the road. Now they're coming home. Now they got they're probably the biggest game they've had since their Super Bowl. Since their last Super Bowl appearance. Probably going to be the biggest game they played. Probably, since their Super Bowl appearance. And what was that, 19 years ago? When they go on the road to play the number 5 team on my top 5 and the 49ers. This is for the whole ball of wax here. This is for the NFC West division and possibly home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. This is it. This is for all the marbles. This is to see if you don't have to travel again to the Super Bowl. Now, if you remember me talking yesterday on yesterday's podcast, my question was about Sam Darnold. This is the second year in a row that Sam Darnold has been on the team that's won 13 or more games. Yet, last year, when he was with the Vikings, in the playoffs, first round. We hope we don't see that. If you're a Seahawks fan, you hope you don't see that this year. And going on the road against a hot 49ers team with the division title on the line and possibly home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs on the line, we're going to see once and for all what Sam Darnold is made of. We're going to see. Are we going to get that Sam Darnold that has been wrecking shot through the last 2 years in the regular season? Or are we going to see that Sam Darnold that fizzled out in the playoffs last year? That's what I'm pretty sure if you're a Seahawks fan, that's what you need to see. You need to see how Sam Darnold going to hold up against playoff caliber competition. And it don't get no more playoff caliber than the San Francisco 49ers, especially with everything on the line. But right now, that's my top team in all of, not just top 5, all of the NFL, Seattle Seahawks. And we're going to find out once and for all, will they stay there? Because, like I said, a win gives them the number 1 seed in the NFC. San Francisco, they win, they get the number 1 seed. That's probably the biggest game, one of the biggest games of next weekend. But as of such, that is my top 5 for ending of week 17 in the NFL. What do you think? Did I make a mistake? Is there another team that should be in the top 5? I mean, I had to boot the Rams out. I know it wasn't a really bad loss, but it was a loss. So that's why the Rams had to get scooted out. I am sorry, but they had to get scooted out. But what do you think? If you know of another team that should be in the top 5, let me know. Drop me a line, drop a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate it. And by the way, I'm also on Instagram and on TikTok. The Total Sports Ozone. Look me up. Now, let's switch gears to the college football. Got 2 more games I want to preview of the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. The next game I previewed yesterday, Miami and Ohio State. That game is tomorrow night. And then the first of the 3 quarterfinal games on New Year's Day, I previewed, which was the Orange Bowl, Oregon and Texas Tech. Now, the next game after that will be the Rose Bowl. And that pits number 9 seed Alabama, who had a big-time road win in the first round of the playoffs at Oklahoma, but they're going up against the number 1 seed and number 1 team in the country, the Indiana Hoosiers. Yes, the Indiana Hoosiers. Yes, this is not basketball. It's football we talking about. That's right. Well, all y'all like, you got to be kidding me. No, not kidding. Indiana Hoosiers are right now the number 1 team in college football. Now, when have you ever been able to say that? Never. Never. Now, we're talking about one of the all-time blue bloods, all-time college football blue bloods in Alabama going against the losingest college football program in Division I FBS college football, and that's Indiana. But Indiana is the favorite in this game by 7. Why? 2 reasons. Kirk Cincinnati has turned that team around quicker than I think anybody thought. Last year they had a like what you would call a Cinderella season, if you would call it that, going from absolutely nothing to all the way to the college football playoff where they got beat by Notre Dame. And this year they did going better. They won the Big Ten championship, and they became the number 1 team. They're the only undefeated team right now in college football. And so they took it to another notch. And you have to be impressed by that. But you also, I know there's a lot of haters, probably a lot of Alabama haters saying, Indiana, they played them. They beat Oregon on the road by 10. They beat Penn State on a great comeback. I know Penn State wasn't all that, but still. And they did take out Ohio State. Yes, they took out my Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship game. So it ain't like they ain't played nobody. So you can quit all that noise. Anybody say all that, you can quit all that noise. They beat Oregon, they beat Ohio State straight up. I ain't gonna make no excuses for it. They beat us. So all them ones say, hush. Just hush, okay? Now, keys to this game. My key to this game is Alabama. Damn, run the ball. I mean, I know you don't run the ball very well at all. I know this. But you better try. If you want to have any, I'm saying, if you want to have any, these are the two things I think Alabama needs to do to have a chance to beat Indiana in the Rose Bowl. One, you gotta get a running game. I don't know what you gotta do to do it, but you gotta get some semblance of a running game. You need to do what you have to do to keep that Indiana offense off the field as much as possible. And to do that, you got to be able to run the ball. Or you better do what you did in Oklahoma. You better get some turnovers and turn them into points. Like they did in Oklahoma. Like they did with Oklahoma. They got that pick six that swung the momentum. That swung the momentum in Alabama's favor. You got to do one of the, it would be nice if you did both. Alabama. Because this ain't Oklahoma you playing. Number one team in the country. And they got offense and defense. I mean, this Indiana offense is known to put up 50 and 60-point games. And so it's not like you're playing Our Little Sisters of the Poor You, number one. This team, I mean, they got the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. 33 touchdowns, only 6 picks. He does not make too many mistakes. So the Alabama defense, you better get after him. There is a chink in his armor. And the chink is you have to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. He has a tendency to run too. So your linebackers you better get a spy linebacker on him in case he decides to take off and run. And when they get close to the in the red zone, he's a threat to take off and run on you. But to limit all that, you better get some turnovers and for God's sakes, run the ball. For God's sakes, run the damn ball. I mean, try at least. Now I know Ty Simpson. He had a decent game, especially after the halftime against Oklahoma. Yes, he did. But I'm telling you, you ain't beating Indiana throwing the ball. You're not going to do that. Because they can throw the ball right along with you. If you want to have a chance in Alabama, I'm talking to you, Alabama, got to establish some semblance of a running game. You haven't done it all year. You better find it. Either that or you better get some turnovers. And I'm talking like maybe 3 turnovers. And you better turn those turnovers into points. Not field goals, touchdowns. That's the only way I see Alabama beating Indiana. Like I said, I'll give you my picks tomorrow on who I would think will win these games. But that's my key to Alabama winning. To Indiana, take care of the ball, protect Mendoza, and that's all. That's all you gotta do. Don't turn the ball over. If you do that, I think they'll win. I think they'll win. If they do that, don't take care of the ball, protect Mendoza. That's my keys. We'll see what happens. But that's the Rose Bowl, Indiana and Alabama. That game is New Year's Day, 3 p.m. Eastern. And the final quarterfinal game of the college football playoff is a rematch of sorts. And well, basically it is a rematch of a regular season game. And Ole Miss's only loss was to Georgia. So they'll be playing Georgia again, this time in the quarterfinal in the Sugar Bowl and down in Nolens. Right now, the odds makers got Georgia as a 6.5 point favorite with the over-under of 55.5. Now, Yes, Ole Miss looked good against Tulane, but then again, this is Tulane. What do you do? This is a group of 5 team. You look good. You're at home. You're supposed to look good against Tulane, team you had beaten before. But I've always said it. I'll say it again. I'm going to say it again. It is hard. It is hard as all get out, especially in college football. It is hard as hell to beat the same team twice in the same season. Ags Alabama, they couldn't do it. Ags Oklahoma, they couldn't do it. Against, Ags Alabama, playing Georgia, they couldn't do it. Played them twice this year. Beat them the first time, got whooped by them in the SEC championship. And then Ags Oklahoma, they beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, turned around in the playoffs, and got their asses handed to them by Alabama at home in the playoffs. It is hard to beat the same team twice in the same season in college football. It is almost impossible. So, can Georgia do that? Can Georgia pull out the win again against Ole Miss? Now, forget the saga with the Lane Kiffin. We don't need to worry about that no more. We don't need to worry about that. We've seen Ole Miss overcome all that drama. We've seen that. So that's not even the focus. The key to Ole Miss in this game is they got to take care of the ball. That is why they lost to Georgia. And in the red zone, you got to get some touchdowns, not field goals. Don't be settling. When you in the red zone against Georgia, because Georgia can be scored upon. Georgia doesn't have that almighty defense that they had a few 2, 3, 4 years ago. They don't have that. Georgia can be scored upon with the right offense. And I believe Ole Miss has the right kind of offense to put points up against Georgia. They did it in Athens. They put up points. Had the lead until Georgia woke up. And Ole Miss turned the ball over. Either turn it over on downs or turn the ball over. Ole Miss can beat this team if they, A, take care of the ball like always, and B, don't settle for field goals in the red zone. They get in the red zone, score. Touchdowns. Field goals ain't going to cut the mustard against the Georgia Bulldogs. Not, especially now the Georgia is finding their stride on offense. Especially Stockton. And Frazier, they're finding their stride. So, I'm telling you, that's the key for Ole Miss. I'm saying that right now. When you get in the red zone, because I believe this is going to be an up and down offensive fireworks show. I do believe it. I believe it's going to be an up and down fireworks show on offense. But Ole Miss, when they get in the red zone against that Georgia defense, can't be selling for field goals. Got to score touchdowns. Field goals ain't going to cut the mustard. Because I guarantee you, Georgia ain't going to settle for field goals. They're going to put it in the end zone if you give them that opportunity. And they got the horses to do it. But like I said, both these teams' defenses, they're going to be stretched out. They're going to be tested. Very much so. So I look at this game as a back and forth. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a back and forth offensive fireworks show. But we'll see. That's the keys, though. For Ole Miss, red zone, touchdowns, no field goals. Hang on the ball. Georgia just needs to same thing. They just need to score touchdowns when they get in the red zone. Don't bog yourself down and if they keep blocking with Stockton. Offensive line. You gotta keep Stockton upright. Don't let Ole Miss's pass rush get all the way home all the time. Simple as that. Again, that is Georgia, Ole Miss. That game's 7 o'clock New Year's night. 7 o'clock Eastern New Year's night. I will give you now, tomorrow's show, New Year's Eve, I will give you my picks for all 4 college football quarterfinal games. And I'm going to give you my picks probably for the NFL games too, because I won't be doing a show on New Year's Day, and I probably won't be doing a show the day after New Year's Day. So that's what I will do tomorrow. So on tomorrow's show, will be my pick on Friday on Wednesday. So I'll make my picks for the college football playoff games and the last weekend of NFL games. Regular season. Couple of games are already playoff games. We got the Ravens and the Steelers. Win or go home. You got the Bucks and the Panthers. Win or go home. So we already got 2 playoff games this weekend. And you might as well say they're playoff games. And we'll have them this weekend for the last weekend of the regular season. Oh, before I go, I want to give a shout out and happy birthday to 3 people. One is my father. My father's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Dad. And he happens to share, if you would believe it, I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. But my dad shares a birthday with 2 of the greatest to ever do it. We're talking about Tiger Woods, who turns 50 today, and LeBron James, who turns 41. And he's still doing it. So, happy birthday to all those gentlemen. Enjoy your days. God bless. And many, many more. And I'll see you tomorrow here on the Ozone. See you.